Hello and welcome to Speak Free with MattyG, episode 38. We're joined here today by wheelchair athlete and disability awareness ambassador, Stephan Rochecouste. And I had to ask him how to say his last name because I tell you what, when you're looking at it on paper, mate, it is a fucking tongue twister. But welcome, brother. It's good to have you here, and we're obviously going to talk about your disability today, spread some awareness, break down that stigma, and also talk about your amazing career in sport. For those that don't know, Stephan played. You didn't play. You're injured. You're injured at the moment. But you're there. I came and watched the State of Origin wheelchair rugby league game.
Can I just say I'm really sorry about that, but at the same time, I am so grateful that you did come,
mate. I had a fucking blast, eh? Like honestly, it was my first time watching it live. Like I'd seen it on on TV before or like on a stream, but seeing it in person, it's fucking brutal, man.
Oh mate, I'll tell you what, I kind of feel like watching it on TV and YouTube and things like that. It doesn't really give justice to how hard we actually hit with our chairs. And we'll get into that later on, but it's, oh man, like I would almost put it on par with the running game almost. You fall out of your chair and you have to quickly get back up. Because
I know, that's the amazing part to me. It was watching the players get back up after they fell out. And I was like, this is fucking mental. Like, I literally, even at points, there was points in the match where I was like, holy fuck. Like,
yeah, bro.
It was insane. Like, I was blown away. It's honestly like fucking congratulations because, and to anyone out there that is thinking of like, oh, I don't know if I'd go watch that. Go watch it. Like, seriously, it is so fucking entertaining. Like,
come watch it. Come and get involved as well because, the wheelchair just acts as a piece of equipment to play the sport. You don't need to actually have a disability either. And that's what the best thing about this game is. So anybody that really wants to come and play, I would say jump onto socials, NRL wheelchair. Everything that you need to know is all on the socials. So, yeah.
Yeah, and if you think, oh, I don't really want to get hit by Big Fob running... I tell you what, safer in a fucking chair. Let me tell you, that they are fucking brutal, mate.
Oh, look, I tell you what, like sometimes I just hold a rosary in one hand, the Bible in the other, and just hope and pray that I come out the other side. Like with some of the guys that play, it's almost like having Jason Taumalolo in a wheelchair.
Yeah,
and I'm like, Jesus Christ, please take me now. Like, honestly.
Like some of the kickoffs too, for those that don't that haven't watched it before. So kickoff, it gets put on like a tee that's about probably like what, yay high?
Yeah.
Roughly about that. And so they wheel towards it and kick off with like a AFL sort of pass, right?
Pretty much. Yeah. So everything is exactly like how you would play OzTag, but instead of having the tags on your waist, you've got them on your shoulders instead.
Yeah.
But that still doesn't mean that you're not going to get fucked up.
Yeah.
Like seriously, like
it ain't no OzTag, let me tell you. It's closer to tackle footy than
100%.
OzTag.
100%.
The tags are just there for a as a showing that you've been tackled in a way, because realistically you're getting fucking hammered by a chair every time.
Oh man, like and that's the thing as well. Like we always joke around about the big hits and everything like that, but I've had wheelchairs to the head, and I've had to go and see a concussion doctor and everything like that, and it has gotten to a point now where it's like, shit, I really need to start considering my health. Like I'm not getting any younger. And I'm already disabled, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like I'm an able-bodied person, I can just do whatever I want willy-nilly. Like, I actually need to start considering my health, which I should have done right from the start.
Yeah.
But I just thought because of the love of the game, and playing rugby league was always something that I wanted to do from a very young age. I idolized Benji Marshall growing up.
So did I. Got the Tiger scarf there.
Up the Tigers, hey.
Up the Tigers. I mean, not at the moment, but fucking it is what it is.
Look, great things always take time.
100%.
So, look, we'll get back in there. I don't think I'm still over 2011 from getting knocked out by the Roosters, but...
yeah.
So...
Man, it was... those were 2 hard years. They were 2 years of hope and dreams crushed.
Oh,
yeah.
Mate.
And we haven't been in the finals fucking since, but...
Honestly, like what just gets me through the day is just old Benji Marshall highlights of, at Shark Park doing the steps and the flick passes. Oh man, But yeah, no, honestly, like we've got a good couple of juniors coming in through now.
Yeah.
And look, as Millhouse would say, oh, as Bart Simpson would say, there's only one way up, Millhouse, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, look, you know, I love the Tigers with a passion, and yeah, like I'm just very grateful at the fact that, you know, I get to play for them in wheelchair rugby league as well.
Yeah,
So,
we'll talk about that. Now there's obviously you know, the NRL clubs are involved with wheelchair rugby league in terms that they have a team. You just recently versed Parramatta, wasn't it, in the grand final? Lost that, unfortunately, but it is what it is.
there's a common trend here.
Fuck Parramatta, first of all.
Look, they haven't won anything since 1987. So
Yeah, so
you might as well give them, you know, the wheelchair rugby league trophy.
Yeah.
So.
But that's amazing. So how did that come about? How long has that existed for? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I actually started playing wheelchair rugby league back in 2012. And funny enough, I was actually playing for Parramatta at the time. And my first ever game, and we were playing at the Morrisema Stadium in Riverwood. And I went and got a flick. I got an intercept and went the full length of the field. And we were defending on our line. And I didn't know where the try line was on the other side. And because we were playing on an all court, so basically there's lines going everywhere. And I just couldn't believe I went the full length of the field. And then I looked back at my teammates and I said, "Where's the try line?" And the opposition player, I remember who it was. He goes, "Dickhead, you've gone over the dead ball line."
Because that's another thing. You do have to put the ball down, right? Like
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's very similar in the same sense. It's not like you just have to run into the end zone. You know, like you've got to put the ball down.
Yeah.
So you can run it dead as well. You
Yeah.
know?
Oh man, no, exactly. And that's the thing. Like I've just, you know, thought to myself, oh, this is how I'm going to score my first try and everything like that. Gone the full length. And yeah, I just didn't at the time know that I had to put the ball down. And oh man, it was just dream shattered. I should have just been a one and done player at the time, but no, for some reason I've still decided to continue on. So yeah.
Yeah. And how many clubs are involved in the wheelchair rugby league in that competition?
Yeah, so for the moment in Australia, well, I mean in New South Wales, we've got 4 in our first grade and 4 in our development. So basically, all of our first graders, you know, represented New South Wales, represented Australia. In our development, in the 4 teams, it's basically everybody that's new. So basically everyone that's new coming into the sport, because, you know, obviously when you see the big hits and everything like that, you know, we don't want to just throw them into the deep end. We want them to upgrade themselves, you know, get them equipped with the skills and everything like that. And basically that's what our development league is there for. And I'm not quite too sure how it is in Queensland. I don't really want to talk about them right now because fuck Queensland. But yeah, just in our New South Wales competition, we've got 4 in our first grade and 4 in our development league. And over in France, where the sport was actually created, they're that good. They've got a promotion and relegation between 10 teams in the first grade and 10 teams in their second grade. And they just fight it out. And I tell you what, those guys know how to play, and so do England. And you know, Australia's getting there. We're third at the moment, just based off, you know, previous World Cups and everything like that. But you know, we'll definitely get there eventually. And I've got no problem with saying that on camera either. You know, we'll eventually get there. It's just that, again, great things do take time.
Yeah.
So.
What really blew my mind yesterday when I came and watched was how well the game has been adapted for the wheelchair game, you know, from the, you know, it's just everything is, there's no compromise being made, you know, for the sport in the wheelchair version of rugby league. Like it's so brutal and it's, you know, it's still, obviously it's not played on a fucking 100-meter grass fucking field because that would be ridiculous. Yeah. So it's on more like a, you know, an all-purpose basketball style court with your lines and that. But it's done so well. Like, honestly, it was so entertaining. It was so fucking entertaining. Like, I'm going to come again, like 100%. Like, is there season passes like available? I want to come every week.
You know,
like,
we're actually meant to be starting up a Western Sydney comp.
Oh, really?
Out this way in Penrith area. So I'll tell you what, I'll let you know when it's on, because the junior rugby league clubs actually get on board with it. So you got Minchinbury Jets, you got all of those guys that really jump on as well. And yeah, so they donate their jerseys, and you actually play for those junior rugby league clubs, which is really good to see. So it's a little bit of a different approach compared to our New South Wales competition, where you're actually representing the NRL clubs, but at the same time, you know, you're representing areas and everything like that, and you're also, you know, learning the skills on how to play wheelchair rugby league as well, and you're taking it to a different area. Our New South Wales competition, we play it out at Menai, so I'm all about growing the game, regardless of where it goes. If I have to go out to the Middle East, I'll do that just to grow the game. You know, back in, you know, where my family's from, you know, back in Mauritius, I'd love to grow the game out there. You know, anywhere where I feel that we can grow the game, because it's an inclusive sport, which closes the gap of understanding between able-bodied people and disabled people. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
You know, and we need more of that, not just in sport, but in social settings and everything of the sort. So yeah.
And another thing that I really took from yesterday was, and this is why I'm so glad I came, because it's given me such a better understanding of it. You know, there's a lot of people out there who tiptoe around disability, right? And I think it's a very normal thing for people to do. It's an unfortunate thing, but it's just the way people are wired, you know, and they see something different. They tiptoe around it. Yesterday at the fucking game, mate, I was thinking it's going to be like, it might be a real, like, you know, nice crowd. Mate, there was people in there being like, that's fucking bullshit, you know, to the ref. And I'm like, fuck yeah, this is hectic. This feels like I'm just at an NRL game. Like, it was mad. Like, everyone just gets amongst it. They know their side. They know their team. They fucking support. They hate the opposition, you know. It's good to see. Like, that's how you grow a game, you know. You need that passion there. And from yesterday, what I saw, I mean, there wasn't a fucking seat left, I don't think, in Whitlam Leisure Centre. There's a lot of people there, and it was a great crowd. It was loud, and yeah, it was awesome,
mate. Like, the fact that we also had ABC Sport, you know, broadcast our game,
huge, right?
It was amazing, you know, and you know, NRL.com also did it as well. Like, you know, for us wheelies, like we thrive on the fact that Origin comes around. You know, because that's when we realize, you know, the broadcasters come in and everything like that. You know, I long for the day that just a regular club game will get shown on Fox League or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, because even for like myself, for example, I know that I don't have a lot of time, I guess I would say, left in the game. So I need to think about what's the next step. So for me personally, I think about, do I have, you know, a career in the media? You know, or do I have a career in coaching the next generation of kids? Because I know I'm getting slower. I know that my skills aren't as sharp as what they used to be when I first came into the sport. So for myself, I'm thinking, what's the next step for me? Or what's the next push? Because I can't use my feet. So I'm like, what's the next step? You know, so definitely a career in the media, I think, for me personally, because then I know that's what will help branch out the game to a much wider audience.
Yeah.
And I know that so many other guys are thinking the same thing. It's just, unfortunately, we don't have the resources or the people coming out to us as well and knowing about the sport, because it's still growing in Australia.
Yeah. And well, that's what I think is like, once people know about it, you know, I think that's the big thing. That's the big hurdle to get over, is like, I think anyone listening, I urge you, go to a game. Like, it'll fucking change your mind on it. Like, I went yesterday, and you know, if I hadn't met you, I probably wouldn't have gone. Like, that's just the honest truth. I probably wouldn't have gone, and I'm so fucking glad I did, because honestly, like, it was just so good. It was such a fucking great day out there, and man, it's you want entertainment.
Oh,
2 wheelchairs going at each other at full pelt, mate. It doesn't get any better.
No, and you know, it almost, you know, fireworks almost went off when one of my teammates, Zach, was on the floor, and this was late in the second half, and one of the Queenslanders came in and like pushed their chair into his back while he was on the ground, and I was like, mate, that's a dog act. And like, our whole bench almost like got up and wanted to start an all-in brawl. And I was like, I'm not a violent person, but that's a dog act. I'm sorry. And I just can't wait for the next State of Origin, or Interstate Challenge is what we call it. But we all know that it's Origin.
Yeah.
I just can't wait for next year, because honestly, that's just playing back in my mind so much. And the fact that, we're in his head and everything like that. No, Origin is built on hatred. I'm sorry. There's a reason why they can't spell beer and they've got 4X instead.
Fuck yeah.
They've got 4X up there because they can't spell beer, get a twoies into you, So, yeah.
Oh, fuck. I love it, man. And that's so true, man. Like, without the hatred, there is no rivalry, Like, you got to breed. And I urge everyone with little kids out there, breed them to fucking hate Queensland, because I tell you what, up there, they're doing that to us.
Oh, mate, I tell you what. And saying that, they've got more passion and everything like that, that grinds my gears. Like, honestly, you don't know what it's been like the past 6 weeks. The type of, sacrifices that some of our New South Wales players have had to make just to make training sessions, just to keep it together. People within our coaching staff, everything like that. If you're telling us that we don't have passion, wait until you've heard our fucking stories before you start throwing lines like that. Because that's where the hatred is really going to start from, when you start saying shit like that.
Yeah.
So, honestly, I don't want to see the colour red for a very, very long time.
Sorry, I've got red lighting, but...
Well, maroon, I should say. But yeah, so it's just, honestly, for me, I'm really now holding out for next year. Primarily because of the fact that I just really want to rip into those Queenslanders again.
Yeah.
And primarily because of the fact that as well, they wouldn't be as good as what they are if they didn't have the world's best player as their coach. And I'm, again, happy to say that on camera, but they needed a lot of help. So the past, 8 years before the 2 that now 3 that they've won in a row, we were romping them. They needed so much help. It's ridiculous. So it is what it is. And we know that we've got the crop to beat them for next year, and we'll just have to regroup and re-put our minds to it.
Yeah. I'm keen. I'll definitely be there next year again to watch it. Will it be in Queensland next year?
I'm really hoping not.
Does it go between the two, or does it?
Yeah, it's meant to. There's a lot of a logistical nightmare when it comes to who hosts Origin and everything like that. But look, wherever it is, I just want to rip into them and beat them. And that's the thing. If we have to verse them in the car park, I will. And probably after what happened recently with them, mate, honestly, I've got no problems with versing him in the car park, honestly, without the ball. So, yeah.
Oh, that's fucking gold, man. Let's talk about, obviously, your disability. Tell me a bit about your story with that.
Didn't you see that episode of Bondi Rescue?
Yeah.
No, I'm
kidding. Oh, fuck. You'd be about the only non-Asian on there. But, I mean, it's just the truth, right?
Yeah, look. I mean, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything.
Or some Dutch tourist who fucking has never swum in his life. It's one of the two. Is that show still on?
I think so. I think so. Like, I mean, look, I'm very boring. I don't watch anything except sports. So I just wait for the sun to come up. I don't wait. I don't go to sleep. I just watch sports. So yeah, like this is why I got these Gucci bags underneath my eyes. You know what I mean? So.
But tell me about your disability.
Yep.
Tell me about your story.
Oh, look. So when I was born with spina bifida. It's a birth defect to the spine, and usually happens when the mother doesn't take too much folate during the pregnancy. Folate can be found in a medicinal tablet and different types of foods and all the sort. And for myself, I've got an older brother and a younger sister. They're both able-bodied people, and I just came out fucked up. No, I'm kidding. I hope my parents are not going to be watching this podcast. But no, look, honestly, I could easily say, why me and everything like that. But, as I get older, I just think, why not? Because of my disability, I've been able to represent my country in 2 different sports. I've been able to have somewhat a great modelling career so far, simply because of the fact that I like to think I don't look like a drop meat pie. But, but yeah, like, I think a lot of the good things that have happened in my life is primarily because of my disability, and I can't shy away from that. It's a part of who I am. And yeah, so I'm grateful for the fact that I've had a disability because it's helped me see the world. Playing wheelchair tennis, I did it for 12 years, and honestly, like I didn't love the sport. I was just good at it, and at the same time, I was very close to going to the Rio Paralympics in 2016, but unfortunately had health issues late in 2015. But at the same time, again, yeah, like, I wouldn't be able to tell these stories if I didn't have my disability, and I'm just very, very grateful and thankful for that.
Yeah. And tell me about some of the challenges you had growing up. Obviously, I think generally in life things get easier as you get older with a lot of things. But what are some of the things you experienced growing up?
Well, definitely going upstairs is one. I just kind of look at them from the base and just be like, yeah, not today. Look, obviously, yeah, stairs is obviously one of them. Stairs are just not my forte. Don't skip leg day, kids. Look what happened to me. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, no, honestly, look, I think, anything that, is not wheelchair accessible, obviously, is one thing. And obviously me being in a different chair, you're not going to see the wheelchair and everything, but I do promise I am disabled. But yeah, like, I think finding areas that are not wheelchair accessible, social settings, 100%. And I really struggled with that, freshly becoming 18 and all the way through to 21. And yeah, just, I guess, a lot of mental health battles as well, not being, loving towards myself, and, just really not accepting for who I am as a person as well, because of those social boundaries and everything like that. But, I can't change that. There's no operation or anything like that that's going to, treat my legs or, make them better and everything like that. And I think, as I've gotten older, if somebody, asked me that same question again, I'd be like, fuck no. This is the life that I've had, and because of my disability, I've been able to live it to my fullest, like, I know that we were, talking about, the other day, when we saw each other at Origin, there's shoeies. And then in the disabled community, you've got leggies, where...
Bro, when he was telling me this is... this made me piss myself laughing. I was still laughing about it in the car on the fucking way home. This is... So yeah, explain it, what it is.
So basically, instead of, taking a beer and drinking it from your shoe, you obviously get a mate or someone that, that's got an amputated leg, and you grab this stump, you pull all the beer in there, and you just pass it around like it's the Last Supper, So, look, we did one in 2017 at the World Cup in France, and this is, I don't know how strong his stomach is, but one of the guys in our team had like foam on the inside of his amputated leg on his stump, and we were pouring in like Moët bottles into it. And we had to like make sure that we were drinking it really quickly before the sponges had like soaked it all up.
Oh no.
And this was like right after a game as well. So you're getting like sweat mixed with like high expensive champagne at the same time. And it's like, it was an experience, man. But we were too fucked up. We were just like, oh man, this is great, drinking Moët in freaking France. Like, what could be worse, So, but man, like honestly, like you have the best times with disabled people. I'm not even joking, because like it opens up the door to so many other different possibilities that are just beyond the realms of, I guess, what is considered to be normal. And I hate that as a stigma. What is normal, it's up to the individual. But at the same time, it's like, man, like like I've gone through my wheelchair, right, for a Macca's drive-through, and I had the police behind me, and I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm either going to get arrested or they're going to think it's funny. And, I did the whole, like, manual window wind up and everything like that. And, the guys at in McDonald's, they thought it was funny because they'd never seen a guy in a wheelchair rock up through the drive-through. You know what I mean? So I did have a bit of help with 12 beers at the time. But, like, this is the thing. This is how you break down boundaries between, able-bodied people and disabled people. So
yeah, and I think that's one thing that I got from you straight off the bat. We met at the Royal at Richmond on when Jolyn Petch was there, and straight off the bat I was like, your sense of humor is so fucking good. Like, and I feel like people with the biggest challenges in life always have the best sense of humor. I feel, because I can't, speak for you, but I feel like, there's that choice, it's either wallow in, why me, or accept it and sort of have fun with it in a way, and I think you do that really well. Like you put everyone at ease that's around you, that, like I said before, these people, I think it's human nature to sort of maybe walk on eggshells a bit, but you break down that barrier straight away after 2 minutes of talking to you, so I think that's a very good quality that you have to do that. And I think the more people that, just go and just fucking talk to people, is my message, talk to everyone, because I think that's the best way to break down barriers, is to just gain an understanding of each other. And
that's the thing, and I feel like just having a simple, genuine conversation with someone, that can teach you so many different things that no school or university will ever be able to teach you, because it's life experience, and that can never be replaced. And I definitely feel that, with my job as well, because, I do disability advocating and awareness. We go all around New South Wales with my job. And basically I always get people coming up to me and being like, I've never met somebody, with a disability, what are the right questions to ask? Or, I'll get questions asked like, I had one person come up to me and being like, how do you have sex? And I'm like, how do I answer this? Like, but I mean, like, at the same time as well, like, I had another person come up to me and be like, like, do you sleep in your wheelchair? And I'm like, no, I have a bed. Like, what? Like, I just sleep upright. Like, that's fucked up, man.
You just fucking recline it.
No, but I'm like, I own a bed as well. Like, I don't just sit in my wheelchair 24/7. You know what I mean? But that sort of question came out because I feel that they just don't have anybody in their life with a disability, so they just don't know what questions to ask and how to ask them either. So it's not just the able-bodied person's, prerogative, but it's also on the onus of the person living with a disability to be like, okay, these are the sorts of questions you can ask me. These are the questions that I kind of feel are a bit offensive. And that's how you can close the gap of understanding, but also as well, you got to be a little bit sensible. Like asking someone, can they have sex? Like, bro, you're not going to ask that to just some average Joe on the street.
Exactly.
Like use a bit of common sense, which unfortunately isn't that common these days. Yeah. But, it's just like, have a think and, think about, is this the right question to ask? Because genuinely, people with a disability have got no problems with you asking questions at all. Look, I'm from Southwest Sydney. You can ask me anything I want or anything you want, really. I've got no filter. But just be prepared that if you're going to ask a stupid question, be prepared for a stupid answer. Yeah. You play dumb things and you're going to get dumb prizes. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, so it is what it is. And, but yeah, look, honestly, like back in high school, my wheelchair was like a hot commodity as well. And, people were always at recess and lunch wanting to have a go at my wheelchair. And me, being the fat fuck that I am, I always loved food. And I was always trading kids for what was in their lunch boxes for a go in my wheelchair. It was a foolproof business plan, I tell you what. Like, the Migarang noodle packs were like top tier on my chart. Like if you had that, bro, you're having my wheelchair for like the whole of lunch, man.
Yeah.
I do not give a shit. Just make sure that my wheelchair comes back in one piece. But, you know, at the end of the day, like, you know, those were the sorts of ways in which I found you broke down understanding people with a disability, because if you don't get them to have a go and get them to metaphorically get into their shoes, then you're just never going to be able to understand, you know? And so that's basically what I do with my job as well. You know, you get people into wheelchairs and you get them to have a go, and you get to see what it's like from their perspective, you know? So I always tell people that a wheelchair is not a sign of disability, but rather a sign of mobility, just like how able-bodied people use their feet to get from A to B. You know, my wheelchair is my legs, essentially. If I don't have my wheelchair, I'm fucked. You know what I mean? So don't get any ideas. I can see that you're like, oh, what if I take some wheels off his chair? You know, he's basically fucked. It's just a chair. It's not a wheelchair.
No, you know what I was actually thinking just then? I was not even thinking about this podcast. I was thinking about the fact that I usually, because I film 2 episodes in the same day, and I usually change my shirt, and I just realized I didn't take my hoodie off. So so people are gonna know now. Well, I told them anyway, but I usually, I just forgot to do that. So apologies, guys. We're wearing the Rage hoodie fucking 2 episodes in a row. So enjoy.
Good. Mate, back in the day, Rage was awesome.
Oh man, I think does it still play like late at night? Like they play I think it does.
I think so. Yeah.
I remember one night we're on the when I was like 17, I was just on like caps at a fucking
thanks for sharing, hey?
Just a house party, and I was so fucked up that I was watching it, and there was music coming from. It was on mute, but it was Rage playing. But there was music coming from like a speaker, and I was like, "Is this the video clip for this song?" That's fucking weird as fuck. But it was for 2 completely different songs, because the TV was on mute and there was music coming from just a fucking Yui Boom or something. And so I'm listening to the music and I'm watching the TV going, fucking, this is a weird fucking video clip for this song. But it wasn't the video clip for that song. It was for a different fucking song.
Oh,
so, yeah.
man.
Reality can get shifted when you're on a lot of MDMA. Let me tell you.
Man, it sounded like you needed my wheelchair more than me that day.
I was fucking disabled the next day. Don't you worry.
Oh man, but like, you know, honestly, like going to like back to the whole disability sort of, you know, talk. I know I've made it in life when I get asked to play Dr. X from X-Men.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I am holding out for that day when I get, you know, scripted for being Dr. X from X-Men. I'm sick and tired of seeing like actors pretending like they're in wheelchairs.
Yeah.
Like that, is it Sam Worthington that did Avatar?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm like, bro, you don't know how to push a fucking wheelchair properly, man. Like, you should have gotten me to do it. Like, honestly, I don't care if you get the able-bodied parts. Just let me push the wheelchair properly, eh? Like, honestly.
What do you think of that of actors playing, you know, disabled people, not, you know, non-able-bodied people playing disabled people?
I just think that
characters.
I think it's great, but at the same time, I think that it's like, what's the problem with getting someone who is genuinely disabled? You know, like I understand that they're actors and they're paid to do a certain thing, but it's like, you know, what's the problem with actually getting someone who is genuinely disabled that actually can play the part really, really well? Because, you know, we're now starting to crawl into this whole, you know, PC culture and cancel culture and all this sort of thing. I'm genuinely scared that someone's going to play, you know, a person in a wheelchair and they're just going to get cancelled because they just haven't pushed it right. You know what I mean? Oh, no, he went into this, you know, degree too quickly and everything like that. And I just think, you know, it's great, but it's like, I think it can be better if you genuinely script or, you know, get people that know how to push their wheelchair properly. Because, like, I loved Avatar, the movie, but it got ruined because of the fact that I was just watching Sam Worthington just push that wheelchair and thinking, bro, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
see, it's funny because I've watched it and I didn't even notice that. See, because I'm not in a wheelchair, so I don't know, you know. But I guess that would be frustrating to see that and being like, it's not how it fucking works.
Like, yeah, and he was pushing his wheelchair as if he was like more disabled than me.
Yeah,
and I'm like, bro, come on, man, like. give me your salary and I'll do it for you.
Yeah.
Like, honestly.
With sport, have you always played sport when you were younger as well, or was it something you got into later in life?
Yeah. So basically, I basically started playing sport at the age of 12, playing wheelchair tennis. And again, like I said, I wasn't in love with the sport, but I was just good at it to a certain degree. And yeah, like I remember going to a training session one time, which was like a common try day, and it was with the former world number 2 who was Australian. And him and myself, we're really good mates now. And I had about an hour and a half training session with him, just hitting a couple of tennis balls. And he went over to my parents and he said, he's got all the skills and everything like that. Let me see if I can train him up for a couple of months and then he can do a tournament. And then the rest was history. And, by the age of 15, I was already representing my country. And, I was inside the top 20 in the world for juniors. And I was like, this is happening to me really fast. And even though it was great, I couldn't really connect with my mates in high school because it was like, I'd be away for 3-4 weeks and then coming back and then having to catch up on school and everything like that. And I was like, you know what, this is the life that I've chosen. But I wasn't really saying that to myself at that time because I didn't have really the mental capacity to do that. But it was like, this is the life that I've chosen, I should say. But, I can't do anything about it. Like I'm, going to Italy and everything like that. And my mates are just going down the road, So there's different levels to this, but at the same time, I really miss those connections back then. And I really look back on it now that I'm older and be like, what could have been, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm still grateful. You still have to be grateful. Regardless of what you've been through, you still have to be grateful. Because if you look back for too long, it will catch up to you. So, yeah.
And what a massive achievement to do that at such a young age, and I'm sure you had such great experiences traveling around and playing and meeting like-minded people as well.
Oh, look, it's not every day that you can go to the Brisbane International and literally from me to you having lunch with Rafael Nadal. I'm thinking to myself, like, I think at the time, like me being a watch snob as well, I was more looking at his watch than actually paying attention to him. Like, I mean, who plays tennis with a $1.5 million watch on their wrist?
Yeah.
But,
was it a Rolex or something, was it?
It was a Richard Mille.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, like I just think to myself, like, I'm never going to get this experience back. Like I remember one time we went to the Brisbane International again and Roger Federer, the GOAT, I consider to be the GOAT, like not Novak Djokovic, I'm sorry.
I love Novak.
Oh, I think we need to wrap up the podcast soon. No. Like, honestly, like Roger Federer, like for me is the all-time GOAT, but he also knew he was the GOAT. And basically he basically, for his whole like backroom staff, everything like that, booked out an entire floor at the hotel that we were staying at.
Yeah,
Brisbane.
wow.
And that's not even the fucked up part. The fucked up part was he brought all 4 of his kids and they all had each individual room to themselves and they all had a designated nanny in those rooms as well.
Oh, jeez.
Like, that's just basically fuck you money.
Yeah.
Like saying, like, this is how much money I have. I'm going to give each child an own room to themselves while here I am having a room with another tennis player. Like, it was unbelievable. And he just, booked out an entire floor for him and his entourage.
I suppose when you got that much money,
It was crazy. But at the same time as well, I never actually got to speak to him like I did with Rafa. But
Is Rafa a nice guy?
Rafa's an awesome guy.
Yeah, he seems like it, eh?
Like
I finally got to see him. He was the one player that kept escaping me. Like, I think I had tickets. He was coming out to the ATP Cup, and then I think he pulled out of that, so I'd missed him then. Then I went to the Australian Open. Only been to the Australian Open once. Dream come true. Saw Roger, saw Novak, saw Ash Barty, saw Serena Williams, saw fucking everyone except Rafa. And Rafa was playing on Rod Laver Arena that night that we had left. Yep. So we didn't get to see him. And I was like, fuck. So then I finally got to see him the ATP Cup earlier at the start of this year. He versed Alex de Minaur. Alex de Minaur won.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Cup,
yeah,
or whatever it's called now.
yeah. ATP
The-
Cup.
Is it still the ATP Cup?
ATP Cup. Yeah.
Because but yeah, that was insane seeing him. But he's one of my favorite players. That's such a cool experience for you.
And you know what as well, being in the National Academy, in in Sydney, was the fact that I actually got to train with Alex Diminor as well, and this was before he got really famous and everything like that. I think he decided to leave the whole Australian program, and he went to Spain to continue on his tennis when he turned, I think, 15 or 16. And honestly, like, that was probably the best thing that he could have done, was just get out of Australia and do your own thing. Like, if you really want to make it big, just get out of Australia, you know, when it comes to tennis. Like,
Why
yeah.
is that? Is there just not the
Ooh.
facilities for it, or there's a lot of deeper shit
there's
involved? And
there's a lot of deep.
there's a lot of politics.
Oh, look, in sport, you're always going to have politics, and regardless of where you go, you're always going to get politics. But
Yeah.
I don't want to say too much, but yeah, let's just say that, you know, when it came time for me to choose between wheelchair tennis and wheelchair rugby league, I didn't stutter. I said wheelchair rugby league. You know, it just got to a point where I was like, you know what, fuck this. Like, I'm not getting treated how I should be, and so are many other players as well. I'm just gonna go. So, and rugby league was always where my heart was at.
And that would be interesting for people to hear, because obviously people look at Dylan Alcott and he's had an amazing career, and people would think that's like changing it for across the board, right? But it's not. Yeah.
Yeah, look, I know that this goes public, this podcast, so I'm not gonna say anything too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, at the end of the day as well, I did enjoy some of the people that I met playing wheelchair tennis. I owe everything to my tennis coach. Absolutely everything to my tennis coach. Like, as much as my parents. But yeah, my tennis coach, he risked his job for me. And he was like a second father figure to me. And I just remember one time we were in Thailand for a tennis tournament, and I was losing to a guy that I shouldn't have lost to. And we got back to the hotel about 8:30, 9 o'clock after eating dinner. And we were both rooming at the same time, and I think we both got into bed at about 10 o'clock. We just sat up and chatted until about 3 a.m. in the morning. And honestly, I will never, I've had a few concussions playing wheelchair rugby league, but I know in that moment, I will never ever forget that conversation and how much of a world of good it did for me. Because when I was losing to that guy, I wanted to be anywhere but that tennis court. And just because of my mental health battles and everything like that, and he really understood, and he said, mate, look, honestly, I need to hone you in. And basically just chatted to me. He didn't care what happened or anything like that. He just wanted to make sure that I was okay. And I will always be grateful for just that one conversation that we had.
And is that the conversation that led you to playing rugby league instead of tennis? Or?
No, I think it definitely led to me having one last push to achieving good things in wheelchair tennis. And unfortunately, it didn't come to fruition because of my passion for rugby league. And, you know, just I think it already damaged some things already in wheelchair tennis at that time. But I think it held me out just for that little bit longer for me to be like, okay, this is where I'm going to go. And Rio Paralympics was definitely that last push for me. But unfortunately, I got really badly hurt, like, because I've got a machine in my head that helps regulate pressure on my brain. And I was in a final in Wollongong at that time, and I went for a backhand down the line, and I felt a snap in my chest. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And I had a doubles final that same afternoon. And we were like, you know, trying to see if I'd torn my pec or something like that. And it was really hard for me to breathe. And unfortunately, I was leading in that final, and I had to pull out, unfortunately. And then also the doubles final as well. Went to go and get scans, and I've got a tubing that runs from my head down into my lung cavity. I'd actually snapped that tubing in my chest.
Wow.
And I was like, fuck. Everything that I'd pushed for in that past 4 years to get to the Paralympics had just gone like that. And my heart just sunk because I knew what I had to go through in that recovery process. I had to get my head cut open, put in a whole new machine into my head. Recovery process was going to be 4 months.
Yeah, shit.
And I was like, fuck. But then it happened. And I was like, well, I can't do anything about it now. And that's when, I said goodbye to Tennis Australia at the time. But what makes it even worse was that fast forward 4 years, I was sitting down having dinner and with some family, and at the time I turned my neck and I felt a snap in my neck again. And this is before I'm meant to be going to the Wheelchair Rugby League World Cup in England. And 2 days before that, I got my first COVID shot as well. And I'm thinking, oh, it's, probably from the COVID, injection and everything like that. And I felt a massive rush up to my brain. And it was almost like I had like a jackhammer right in the middle of my brain, just like going down on me.
Oh, fuck.
And I was like, I can withstand pain, no problem. But this, I was about to pass the fuck out. And I was just pacing up and down the hallway like a psychotic patient for about a good 3 to 4 hours until it just, went away. I went to bed. Then next day, woke up a little bit worse for wear. Didn't think anything of it. Next day I went to work. But as I was getting dressed, I saw a bubble on my neck. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? I pressed on it and it retracted straight back into the middle of my brain and just started pounding again. And I realized that bubble in my neck was actually excess brain fluid that was actually leaking from the tube in my neck.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, not again. Like, first Rio Paralympics, now the Wheelchair Rugby League World Cup, where both the women's and the NRL players are all going to be in the same spot. And now I'm missing out on that again. And I was like, again, my heart just sank. And I'm like, everything big that comes my way, something just happens. And in that moment, I was like, well, again, what can I do about it? Can't do anything. But this time around, it was actually worse because I got the surgery done in October, early November. And then instead of putting the tubing down into my lung cavity, they moved it into my stomach area. And unfortunately, it wasn't the right way to go. And every single time I was eating and everything like that, I just, was getting these massive pains back on my brain and everything like that. And I was losing time at the time for me to be able to recover and still be able to make that final 10 for the Australian squad to then go to the World Cup. And I was losing time. And at the same time, my brain was going off and everything like that. And I said, my neurosurgeon caught up with me and he said, look, if you're still having these issues, we probably might have to put you underneath the knife. And I said, look, I don't care at this point. I just need to get to the World Cup. I don't care what it fucking takes. And because I just, was having mad PTSD from missing out on Rio Paralympics. And again, I was like, just put me back underneath the knife. I know I've had 2 brain surgeries in the past 6 months, but I don't give a fuck at this point. Like, I will put my body through hell just so I can make a World Cup and make a boyhood dream. Because at that point, we had predominantly yellow jerseys with a green V for the Australian teams, and it was only the Kangaroos that got to wear the predominantly green jerseys with the yellow V. And this World Cup was the first time ever that we all wore the same jerseys as the Kangaroos. And for myself, I was like, I'm not fucking missing out on this. This is a boyhood dream for me. And I'm actually getting emotional about it because I always, before my disability, I always wanted to play rugby league and wear that green and gold jersey. And just knowing how much I wanted it and for it to be taken away from me, not because of my own accord, not because of anybody else's accord, but just a freak accident that happened again, I was not in a good space, and it took me a long time to get out of it. And I guess the grateful part of it was the fact that I had hit rock bottom. I know I couldn't get any lower, and I just knew I had to embrace it. I hit rock bottom. I, at the time was getting physiotherapy done, everything like that. I was fighting my own mental battles. And the thing is with brain injuries and everything like that, it's not like a cut where people can see it and be like, oh, that looks bad. Like, I was going through some hell with my brain. Like, I was on pain medication that, you could only take once a day and not have any Nurofen or anything like that other than what I'd just taken, because they were just so strong. And basically I just, had to withstand that for the past, or in that time, for 8 months, and not being able to have an outlet like footy, or, just being able to hang out with mates, because, the amount of pain that I was in, I was like, fuck, like, how do I get myself out of this? I'm grateful for the fact that I still have family around, and, I've got a great mum and dad and everything like that. But I still felt so alone because of what I was missing out on. And yeah, I just, in that moment, I was like, we got to pick up the pieces again and start again. And that's where I had to redirect myself and be like, you know what are you really made of now, Steph? And I just refocused and was like, you know what? I play for the Tigers. I want to win a premiership. I want to be able to win a premiership in my own colours. I got close, but unfortunately, in the last 2 minutes of that game, I got a knee in my lower back where my spina bifida opening is, and a nervy rush went straight up to my brain in the last 2 minutes, and I had to be sent to hospital, and we were down by 2 at the time as well. And again, it was almost similar to being in that moment of like, fuck, not again. I always get so close to things, and then it ends up still being yet so far. But then I always look at the silver lining and be like, you know what? I wouldn't be able to have those. I wouldn't be able to even be on a podcast, or being able to talk to children in high schools if I didn't go through those experiences and teach them the examples of what it is to be grateful for things. With my ex, we used to say 2 things that we're grateful for every single day, and 1 thing that we found challenging throughout our day. And the challenge was that it couldn't be something that you'd said on a different day. So you always had to really hone in and think about what really happened in your day, and what did you find challenging. And science proves that over 21 days, your mental health becomes a hell of a lot better, and you start to see the world in a different way. And, for me, that's my bread and butter, So I'm super duper grateful for the situation and the position that I'm in, because it's made me an example for so many people out there that just don't know about disabilities and that want to learn more. I don't care about the people that choose to not do anything about disabilities. They're not my people. The people that are from me will come up to me and be like, what can we do to help? What can we do to learn? Those are the people for me. Yeah.
I like to end my podcast with my guests giving a bit of advice or just saying something to the people listening, whatever it may be. So yeah, take it away, whatever you want to say.
I just want to be able to say, just be true to you, whatever it is. People will always come and go out of your life, and that's okay. People will always be there for either a reason or for a season, and that's okay. As long as you stay true to you, then that's all you basically need.
Awesome. Thank you very much for coming in, and I hope everyone learned something from this podcast. It was such a great chat. Such a great chat.
Cheers, Matty, and thank you for allowing me to come on this platform, mate. Like, you've done so well, and to everybody in the back room as well. Like, mate, to be able to speak free on such a platform and be able to have such a voice for so many other people, mate. I just want to say thank you to you as well.
I appreciate you, and you're welcome anytime. And everyone, go and watch a fucking wheelchair rugby league game because I tell you what, it's fucking hectic. And remember, guys, speak free with MattyG.